welcome to today's session. It's about listening. So I'm going to do this in two parts. The first part is listening to ourselves, and then the second part is listening to others. And why do we need to, analyze or focus or discuss listening? First of all, to listen to ourselves, if we don't listen to ourselves, we're going to react through pure emotion, through raw emotion. We're just going to react without thinking. And a lot of times people say, oh, I just got so angry that, it was out of control and I didn't know. And, that's very possible, but the body does have a physiological response when we become angry. Even when we become sad, any emotion, we have a physiological response. I guess anger is the most obvious one to look at. And there are some people that are more highly strung because of traumas they have experienced, because, they've just been on guard, maybe, through their upbringing, they were just always ready to be on guard for whatever reason. And so we lack the awareness because we don't listen in the Western society. We don't have time to listen to our bodies, to our minds. And so whilst we may appear to just be like, it's probably that we're always here, shall I say. If the baseline is here, we're always here. And so it's very easy to go up here if your baseline is here when it should be here. So learning to listen to the body, learning to listen to the mind is very helpful in having rational discussions where we don't say harmful words, things we don't mean, things we regret. If you remember from a previous meditation, excuse me, hay fever is amazing. From a previous session that I did about banging, the child with the temper tantrum, banging the nails into the fence. When we pull them out, the holes are still there. And that's what we do in relationships when we lash out with anger. And so we want to be able to listen and react with compassion instead of raw emotion. In order to understand ourselves, or to hone in our intuition and be available to show others compassion, we need to be able to listen to ourselves. So it's important to investigate how we're feeling before you act. And this meditation will be, 10 minutes or so. And we're not going to have 10 minutes in certain situations to sit and think. Sometimes we do, and that's great. But it's practicing this, spending a few moments every day. And even if you do these meditations daily, even if we're not discussing listening, you're still listening to your mind because you're watching the patterns. There's some little shifts happening, some seeds being planted. And with time and practice, you'll come to do this naturally without having to give it a thought. And you'll be able to say, okay, my body's doing this, I'm feeling this way. Let's calm down before it gets way out of hand and think in a different way than normally. And I guess it's, the reason why we stopped listening to ourselves is because we get so involved by what others tell us what to do or what society tells us that we should be doing that we forget to listen to what we actually want. That was me. I was actually really unhappy being in a 9-to-5 job, but I had got a degree. I paid all this money. I'm still paying to this day the money back. I should be a psychologist. That's what I should be doing. Well, it didn't make me happy. I didn't want to. So I stopped. I stopped listening to what I thought my parents wanted. Maybe they do want that. It doesn't matter because it's not what I want. It doesn't make me happy. And in turn, I'm not a good daughter. I'm not a good friend. I'm not a good human being to other people. So taking that time to listen and then act if we can, if we choose to, because we always can act, but it's if we choose to act or not. Okay, so the Buddhist view of, listening, I guess, is that wisdom is all in our minds. So it's been clouded by these various different things such as upbringing, culture, social situations, and the Buddhist point of view, karma from this life, from past life. And so the point of meditation is to listen with a calm and open mind so that we can find this wisdom and stop being ruled by our emotions or these external sources that are constantly telling us what to do. It's already in here, I think I've said in the last meditation, it's about the Buddha nature. we all have the Buddha nature in us. It's this ability to be compassionate, to be grounded, to be rational, to think with our minds and through others instead of with this raw emotion that we generally tend to display. Okay, so when we do these analytical meditations, we shouldn't focus or accept the first answer that comes into our head. Okay, so whenever I give you a topic to think about, whatever bounces in your head, okay, yep, that's it, now I'm done, bye. That's not really what it's all about. That's the laziness factor of it. It's, pretending that we are doing this, but actually, no. The first thing that comes into our head is probably an external message coming out. And maybe it isn't, but, we still need to explore other options. So don't even accept the second, maybe the third, or maybe we explore a few options, go back to the first or second. But we question and explore the underlying reasons. So before we accept anything that pops up in our mind during meditation, we should really look at the underlying reasons. What was our reason for saying that? What is the truth in saying that? Is this a changeable thing? And if it is, then let's look at how it's changeable. If it's truth, which very rarely things that go around in our head are truth, because it's based on emotion, right? So it's our truth, it's our perspective, but that's not really like the reality of life. Because the person next to us isn't thinking that, so we can't say that it's a truth, because the truth is unchanging. That's a bit deeper conversation. I'm still debating on whether it's quite a deep philosophical point. I'm not really sure how to bring that into introduction meditation classes, but there's a little tiny intro to it. And so after we do our questioning and exploring, then we come to a conclusion, and that conclusion can simply be, I need to do more analysis, because we can sit here the whole day and think about it, in this posture. We can think about it in the backs of our minds as we do other things, but we can sit here and do this really focused analytical meditation. So perhaps that's the conclusion. Or maybe the conclusion is that we need to gain control over a certain emotion or action that we do, our thought pattern. I need to stop repeating negative thoughts in my mind. I need to stop being so hard on myself. And then we focus on this conclusion for a few minutes without analyzing it any further. It's simply what we need to do. We'll pick it up at another time. We have a whole lifetime and more, if you believe in that, to focus on these issues. So it's not, it's not a quick fix. It's not, well, you do this for a month and you're fine. It's a lifelong daily thing, and not necessarily daily with sitting. It's helpful because it does slow the breathing down. 5 to 10 minutes a day of slowing the breathing down, of focusing on one object is very healthy for the mind and the body, as I mentioned in the anti-cancer book by Dr. David Servin Schreiber. So it's about being in the current moment. We want to think or analyze with a clear and open mind and have the ability to reflect in the moment. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to try to relax the mind, and maybe it doesn't work today. That's completely fine. And we're going to try to think rationally or sensibly. And we think if we're in a good mood, do we let things go a little bit easier than if we're uptight, angry, irritable? Of course we do. Generally we do. Okay. So before we sit down for the meditation, to help develop this mind where we seek the nature of reality, so we seek the truth. Is this emotion truth, or is it something that's changing all of the time? We're going to try to see things as they are instead of through a curtain of anger, jealousy, sadness, excitement, or happiness or joy. But the higher ends of that, because sometimes if we're in this amazing giving mood, if you think of people with bipolar, when they're on the up, sometimes they give away all of their money because they're like on this ecstatic high. And so that's not a good time to make decisions either. So we want to have this baseline of happiness, of sensibleness, of being able to see and explore situations through a calm, rational mind, and then make a decision about it. So before we do that, I just want to read one of my favorite, probably my only favorite poem because I actually understand it, is the autobiography in 5 chapters by Portia Nelson. So chapter 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in, I am lost. I am hopeless. It is not my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. I really like this poem because it's like, it's called the autobiography of my life, I think. Autobiography of, in 5 chapters. And it's like describes me perfectly, and I still do that. I still walk down the same street. I see the hole and I'm like, I'm going to fall into it, but I'll get back out again, and it's about finding, let's do these meditations and let's explore in our minds so that we eventually walk down another street. Again, something that takes a really long time, and maybe we do it when we're on our deathbed. That's okay, we've achieved it. It's a goal. Okay. So find your comfortable meditation stance, and I don't mind if you lie down, because what we want is a long spine. We want this breath. We want to be able to feel the breath through the whole body. And we want to have this energy and feel strong and confident. So if that's on the back, well, our backs are, for lying down, generally our backs are quite long. So closing the eyes or finding a soft gaze. And imagining your open space. So this space where there's no distractions. There's no other people, there's no judgments. Place one hand on the stomach and one hand on the chest. And we're really going to focus and listen to the breath during this meditation. So as we inhale through the nose, the belly, the ribs, the chest, and the shoulders come away from the body. Just for this one time, I want you to exhale through the mouth. And at the bottom of the exhale, hold it for 1 second. And inhale a deep breath again. Exhaling through the nose, all the way, emptying the whole of the air so the body comes back towards the spine, and pausing at the end of the exhale for as long as you can pause. Inhale. And either keeping your hands in this position or placing them down now or whenever feels comfortable. And carrying on with this deep breath, grounding yourself in this space. Noticing any sounds, any smells. What does it feel like to be in this space? We're going to fill the space with compassion as I recite the 4 immeasurables. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be dissociated from the supreme happiness which is without suffering. May they remain in boundless equanimity, free from attachment to close ones and rejection of others. With each inhale comes in the white light of compassion, of peace, of a sense of calm. Exhaling out black cloud of disturbing thoughts, emotions. Inhale a white light, calm and peace. Exhaling anything that's unpleasant, completely out of the body. The end of the exhale, holding it slightly before taking a deep inhale once again. And if we need to on one of the exhales to release the unpleasantness, it's perfectly acceptable to make sounds. Relaxing the body. Before we listen to the mind today, we're going to listen to the body. A friend once looked at me in amazement when I said I was getting sick. And she said, "How do you know you're getting sick?" "I'm just wake up sick." It's because as a yoga teacher, we are trained to sit and listen to the body. It's not difficult. We just need to take the time. Take the time now. Where do you feel any aches or pains? Where do you feel the body is tensing? And the shoulders close to the ears? Are they slouched over? And gently opening them up. Releasing any possible tension. Perhaps we slept funny, so then there's some aches or pains. Be aware of them. No judgments. No dramas. Being aware. Maybe we feel some tightness in the hips, the groin area. Notice what the face is doing. If there's any tension. Notice the energy levels, and this is where the mind comes in. So sometimes you think, I can't be bothered. And it's probably to do with our energy levels, So when you do find yourself having that thought, listen to the body and then be kind. Work with that energy level. The worst thing we can do for our immune systems, for our mental and physical health, is to tire ourselves. So be honest with the energy. How are you feeling this morning? Are you sitting up and you want to lie down? Lie down. Are you lying down and want to sit up? Sit up. If it's really difficult to hold this long spine, then lie down today. Come back to the breath. Are we still breathing in deeply, inhaling and exhaling? Now bringing the awareness to the chatter of the mind. In Buddhism, they call this the monkey mind. And today we're going to listen, we're going to allow it. Imagine that open space as a playground for these thoughts. An open space which is full of peace, full of calm, full of non-judgment. And I'm going to try my best to be quiet for 3 minutes. I will redirect you because I do find that helpful myself. But for 3 minutes, I'm going to ask you to listen to the chatter of the mind. Okay, listen. Don't think you need to do anything about it, but listen. Let it run as wild as it wants to in this open space. Allow yourself to get lost in these thoughts. Remembering to observe the thoughts as if they're a leaf floating on a rough water, bouncing up and down over the waves, not getting stuck on any one thought, allowing it to run free. Non-judgmental, every thought that's bouncing around this open playground is allowed to be there. It has a purpose. We're going to listen to this purpose. Imagine that you are an observer in this playground and all of these thoughts are running around. To be your own psychologist, are you noticing any certain patterns or themes? Maybe repeated sentence in the mind? In an imaginary notebook, writing down what these patterns or themes might be. As we're listening, they're telling us something, and we're going to listen today. We're not going to push them aside anymore. We want to be able to walk down a different street instead of falling into the same hole. If you don't identify any patterns or themes, that's perfectly okay. Sometimes the mind just runs completely wild with no sense whatsoever. Noting down what we want to change. What is unpleasant? What was unpleasant about watching that scenario? How can we give ourselves more compassion? If we don't give ourselves compassion, it's difficult to allow others, to give it to others. What do we need to do, or how do we need to think in order to change whatever was unpleasant? This is something that you can spend, quiet moments during the day thinking more about. But for now, come to a conclusion, remembering that the conclusion is either I need to do more analysis or I want to work on. When you have come to this conclusion, spend a moment solidifying this is what you want to do. It's not necessary to say this is how I'm going to work on it. Simply, I want to work on it, or I need to do more analysis. And repeat that phrase for the next minute or so. And understand this takes time. It may be difficult to hear the voice, of ration, of this is what I want to come to, or coming to a conclusion, but that's okay. Just as with them practicing a sport, when we practice this, we'll be able to listen more clearly. Take out the imaginary rucksack. And for today, putting in this conclusion. So either I need to do more analysis or I want to work on. And placing that in the rucksack, just so we know. It's there to come back to whenever we want to. And placing the rucksack on our backs. Visually, with the eyes still closed or with a soft gaze, coming into the reality around us. Becoming more aware of the sounds around us, inside and outside of the room. When you're ready, gently blinking open the eyes. Becoming visually aware of the space, of the reality that we're in. Knowing that we choose what reality we're in. Perhaps there's chaos of children or a job, a project that we need to work on that we're avoiding. But are we going in with a chaotic mind, or are we going in listening? Maybe spending time listening to ourselves this morning will help us become better listeners to others. And before we end the session today, another little story that I like, I'll share with you. An old Cherokee told his grandson, "My son, there is a battle between two wolves inside of us all. One is evil. It is anger, jealousy, greed, resentment, inferiority, lies, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth." The boy thought about it and asked, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" The old man quietly replied, "The one you feed." And it's an unknown author with brilliant words. And I guess that's a thought to leave you with, is which one do you want to feed? And we can't always feed the good one, if that's the one you choose. And it's okay that sometimes the evil one is fed, but it's important to try to feed the good wolf as much food as we can. And by taking time, whether it's watching my meditations, by sitting for 5 minutes, thinking about something every day, in the beginning and the end of the day, that's how you feed the good wolf. So dedicating this practice to somebody who needs some listening and compassion today. Being compassionate with ourselves, again reminding ourselves that these practices take time, and if we have difficult listening to ourselves today, tomorrow, even next year, it's okay. We're still working on it. And I thank you very much for watching my practice today. And as always, any comments or questions, please don't hesitate